Dive into the eerie and mysterious as we explore a series of strange and creepy phenomena. From unidentified flying objects crossing the sun, tales of Jinns and Reincarnation, to hidden cities beneath Los Angeles and strange lights in Japan. Discover the secrets of Draco Reptilians in the enigmatic Vatican archives. This video is a thrilling journey into the unknown. Hey, welcome back to Panic Butter. This is Tony. Glad to see you today. Thanks for joining me. Hey, you know the drill. If you're new here, you know what to do. Today we got the strange, the creepy, the good. You know the ones. We're gonna get right into it. Are you ready? Here we go. Something is going across the sun. There it is. But what is it? Is it even real? Is it a lens flare? I don't know. Kind of out on a limb on that one. Looks just like glare, flare, maybe a streak on the window. You know. What do you think? Is it real? Was it real? I don't know. Let's move on. Let's see what happens with the animals. Always interesting. You know they can see it. Here we go.
If your pet starts behaving like this, it may be warning you of the Jinn.
This woman never saw her dog act like this before and decided to start filming.
What do you see? Oh my god.
The dog's back fur is standing up, almost like if it's sensing a threat.
Why? Don't get me scared.
Was her dog warning her of evil spirits, the Jinn, or maybe something else?
Oh yeah. You know, the pets can see it. They see the spooky stuff. Usually the good stuff is at night when you're all creeped out alone in your bed. Lights are off. You know the time. Scary. Spooky. Let's move on though. Here we go. And when you're out and about with your family, you have to pay attention all around. Even up in the air. That's the most important. Just like here. Oh, what a save! Holy crap. Oh man. That's incredible. But it does happen. Didn't happen that time though, did it? No, it sure didn't. Lucky for them. Somebody was recording it though, so were they hollering? Don't know. At least it was safe. Everybody was safe. They got away. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. If stuff like that does happen and people come back, maybe they sound like this. Here we go.
Did you know that this boy, Ryan Hammonds, literally lived twice? This is such a good reincarnation story. Let's get into it. When Ryan was 4 years old, he started directing imaginary movies, and his parents thought it was really cute. He'd be going around shouting action acting out scenes, the whole lot. Then things took a bit of a dark turn. Ryan would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and wailing, clutching his chest and saying that his heart had exploded when he was in Hollywood. Now, this little boy was from Oklahoma. He had never been to Hollywood, but he started describing his life there. He said he had a big white house and a swimming pool, and he had 3 sons, but he couldn't remember their names. And he used to sob to his mother, asking her, "Why can't I remember my children's names?" During this time, his mother had spoken to doctors, etc., and they just said, look, he'll just grow out of it, but he didn't. He kept becoming really upset about his children, why he couldn't remember them, about his previous life in Hollywood, and eventually the mother said, look, I'll get some books on old Hollywood, and maybe that will help him to explore these feelings that he's having. In one of these books, there was a still image from the 1930s film Night After Night, and in this particular still image, there are men having a confrontation, 2 men, and then they are surrounded by 4 other men. And Ryan stopped on this picture. The mother didn't know the film, nor did she recognise any of the actors in the picture. But Ryan stopped, pointed at a man in the picture and said, "Hey, that's George. We did a picture together." And of course, George Raft was one of the actors in the film. But then he pointed to another man and he said, "That's me.
Whoa!
I found me." I think it's important to note at this point that there were no names provided in the book as to who these actors were, but after some research, the mother was able to find out that this actor was indeed George Raft, who was kind of a lesser known actor from the 30s and 40s, but she was not able to identify the man that Ryan claimed to be him. So she wrote to Jim Tucker, who was an associate psychiatry professor, and he agreed to take on Ryan's case and help them as much as he could. Eventually, they were able to get a film archivist to look at the picture, and they found out that this man was a man named Martin Martin. Yes, that was his real name, and he was an uncredited extra in this film. And here's where it gets even crazier. So, because they now had his name, they were able to track down Martin Martin's daughter, and they brought Ryan to meet her. Ryan said in his previous life he was a dancer, and Martin Martin danced on Broadway. Ryan said that when his dancing career ended, he became an agent in Hollywood where people change their names. And Martin Martin worked for a very well-known talent agency in Hollywood where people often adopted stage names. Ryan also said that his old address had Rock in the name, and Martin Martin had lived at 825 North Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills. Ryan also said that he had been friends with a man named Senator 5. And Martin Martin's daughter produced a picture of her father with Senator Ives. And Senator Ives had been in the US Senate from 1947 to 1959. And as it turned out, Martin Martin did indeed have 3 sons, and his daughter was finally able to tell Ryan their names. If you want to hear more reincarnation stories, you can listen to episode number 62 of my podcast, Real Life Ghost Stories. It is entitled That's Where I Died, and it was released on January the 5th, 2020.
Yeah, that's pretty strange. Pretty creepy, huh? You ever heard of anything like that? Ever met anybody that said anything like that? Pretty strange. What do you think? Let me know down below. Till then, let's look at something else that's underneath. Underneath Los Angeles, that is. You know, the tunnels. What are they going to do now? Bury it again? Let's find out. Here we go.
They've been keeping this from you. This is the underground city that was found beneath Los Angeles by a man named Warren Sufelt. It was discovered using a device he invented to detect underground tunnels and caverns. Sufelt mapped out a network of passageways stretching for miles beneath the city. And here is where it gets crazy. His maps indicated a central chamber filled with gold and advanced artifacts. Sufelt said that upon analysis of the artifacts and the scriptures found within the passageways, they all pointed to a lost continent named Lemuria. Despite his groundbreaking findings, city officials abruptly shut down his excavation. They officially claimed that the tunnels were old subway lines. But this is where they messed up. The Los Angeles subway system didn't begin operation until 1990, over 70 years after Sufelt's discovery. So what subway lines were they referring to? Some speculate that they were referring to an ancient civilization that had access to a subway-like system. Some have even gone further to say that the city officials had knowledge from the future. They knew that Los Angeles would eventually have a running subway system in the years to come. Therefore, it would be the perfect cover-up, perfectly concealing its true origin.
Oh yeah, and who do you think lives down there now? The strange or the creepy? Or both? What do you think? Is it the lizard people like they think? I don't know. That is a possibility down there. Till then, till we find out more, let's move across the world. Look at some lights. What do you think? Here we go. Oh yeah, what the heck? Is this real? Yeah, that's pretty intense, whatever it is, huh? Is it real? That's the question. We're really watching it. Kind of out on that. Don't know. There's a lot going on there. Was it real or was it fake? What do you think? Got to make up our mind on that. Might have to see a lot more. Let's look at something else that's strange. That might be under LA. These guys. Here we go.
It turns out Forrestal is told that every book in the libraries, every book in the colleges, every book in the universities, every book on this planet is misinformation. It's misinformation. So, which is initiated by the Draco Reptilians as far back as 6,000 years ago.
The reptilians really came into control and started to be able to manipulate what was going on the face of the planet about 6,000 to 7,000 years ago. It is true that they have different masking technologies to be able to be in a room and look like a human, but usually they're in underground bases in various places on the globe, as well as in a huge area in Antarctica. The southeast region has a large number of underground caverns that are kept extremely warm, too warm for humans, by geothermal heat. It's a perfect place for all of these colonies that the reptilians have. They're basically cities, huge cities with millions of them.
So, Secretary of the Navy selects Rick Abada. He's not even an American. He comes over here with his family. He goes to school here. He goes to the second year in high school. He leaves school. He joins the Navy as a third-class seaman, works his way up in the Navy. Now he's a commander. Okay? That commander is selected by the Secretary of the Navy to head up all of these operatives, to go back into Germany and find out what's going on. Because that individual had never had misinformation given to him about every technical field on the planet.
Everything we learn in the establishment-controlled education systems is specifically designed to program our minds away from the truth. Physics is wrong. Medicine is wrong. History is wrong. Everything we are taught in textbooks is mainly wrong. And this is done purposefully so we don't understand how to move our bodies, how to feed our bodies, what really happened in the past, what technology can really do these days. All of these things, if we learn them, would help us empower ourselves, would help us actually understand what's really going on with our reality.
Now, if you were to go to San Diego and look over at North Island, you're going to see a tall building like this. There's a small office in the top of that building, which is a secret office for the Admiral. This is where the operatives come to. So the Admiral's aide comes to my barracks, taps me on the shoulder, and he only says one word: he's here. We drive over to that building, we get up to the top, we go into this conference room, a small room. Admiral Ricabata sits here, I sit here, and one of 3 other bosses that I have are all captains. So now I have 3 captains as bosses, and now a 2-star admiral. He just got another raise. Wow. He just came back from Lockheed. He just came back from Scripps Institute. He just came back from all the aircraft company. Wow. Now he's got these operatives coming in. So the operative sits on the other side of the table. He discloses to us these fantastic things that Germany is doing that make no sense. Now I have 8 girls and 3 PhDs as a group. We put together a package from what the operative brings back. Some of it is photographs. Once in a while, it's a manual, hardly any manual. A couple of manuals were not even in English, German, or any other language. They were extraterrestrial hieroglyphics. You see all of this stuff. You hear it. You understand what the Germans are doing. They didn't just get documents from the extraterrestrials. They got brand spanking new space vehicles. Here's one. Here's another one. Here's. They brought these.
Well, where are they? We need to see them. Or are we already seeing them? And we just don't know it. There's a lot going on there, huh? What do you think? We'll find out one day. Probably won't be anytime soon. It'll all still just be conspiracy. Now, we move on. More interesting. Here we go.
Would you like to see evidence from your very own United States Library of Congress that you do indeed live in an enclosed system? An enclosed system that every single ancient culture has always known, minus ours today? Well, my friend Kelly found this very, very lovely copy of the Lord's Prayer, and it just happens to have some things that I found very interesting. And I thought, what better day than Father's Day to present some information about this flat realm that our Father created. Now, like I said, this copy of the Lord's Prayer has some very interesting things, and it comes from 1889, before NASA, and right from the Library of Congress, and before the manipulation of, unfortunately, a lot of our Bibles. Now, the very first thing I would like to draw your attention to is the fact that it says, in earth. And if you look at today's Bibles, they all say, on earth. Now, why would there be a distinction there? Why would that small, seemingly insignificant word be changed? Could it be because in refers to in an enclosed system, and on, you're just on top of a ball? It's the exact same manipulation they've made to Genesis 1:6 when it talks about letting there be a firmament in the midst of the waters and let it dividing the waters from the waters, versus the manipulated version that says let there be an expanse between the waters. Well, you can just think the expanse, it's the sky. No, it's the firmament. And I would also like to draw to your attention the fact that they literally created this as an enclosed system. They are literally depicting the place we live in this prayer. Now, unfortunately, this also made me dig a little deeper into some of the words and phrasing of this prayer. And the word hallowed stand out to me because I have seen this word other places. Because in my studies of Lucifer and trying to expose the Lucifer worship that is all over this flat realm, I've come across his name many times. Hal-El or Halel literally is a translation into Lucifer. So while I am a big Bible believer, I am also quite aware of the fact that it has been manipulated. Books like the Book of Enoch have been removed, and there is a push to get us to worship the wrong father. So what I say to you to that is to make sure your intentions are correct, because he knows our intentions. And if you are praying and you are speaking to the Most High, he will know, because the Most High knows our heart. Just like he knew Lucifer's when Lucifer wanted to ascend higher than the Most High, and he was banished down here. So by all means, read your Bible, because it is the Word of God. But know that man has had his hand in manipulating it. But that doesn't mean the overall overwhelming message isn't true. And also know that you're living in an enclosed system. And of course, all this was for entertainment only. Just a satire count here to make you guys laugh.
And we're laughing. We laugh every day. Yeah, everybody sits in wonder and amazement. Can't believe what we are seeing and witnessing, but it's happening. It's happening everywhere. Is it real? That's the question everybody asks. No answers, so we just have to go back to the drawing board and watch again. Here's another one. Here we go.
What else are they hiding in the Vatican archives? In the 1920s, there was a Russian professor named Gingrich Ludwig that was given access to the Vatican archives. And as he was exploring the 12 centuries of European history, he came across something rather peculiar. Well, you see, in his journals, he documents that he came across the section of ancient books that spoke about star people that came down in crafts, who taught ancient civilizations everything from how to build the pyramids to the calendars that the Mayans used. However, that wasn't the craziest part. It was said that these beings taught humans about weapons, which they tested on Babylon, and ended up melting the walls with the amount of energy and heat it produced. Was that the first documentation of nuclear weapons? And if the Vatican is keeping this from us?
They got the information there. If you could spend a couple hours there creeping around, looking around, you'd do it. You'd probably find some amazing stuff. If they said you can look at and do whatever you want, you can tell anybody what you saw, what you found. They're just not going to believe you. Just like they don't believe you now. So we move on. Let's go to another one. Here we go.
Popular French YouTuber GousteX does a very creepy paranormal and ghost hunting series called Chasseur de Fantômes, which in English simply translates to Ghost Hunter. In the series, he travels around to remote locations in France to investigate reports of haunted locations and paranormal activity. In this episode, GousteX spends the night in a haunted house where the owners describe multiple disturbing occurrences. Water puddles in the floor, even though there is no rain or leaks. Things go missing around the house only to show up later in odd locations. But the late night sounds are the most disturbing of all. Doors can be heard opening and closing on their own. Strange voices call out in the night. And loud footsteps can be heard pacing the halls and clambering up the attic steps. GousteX spends the night in a bedroom right beside the attic stairs.
l'impression que quelqu'un marche dans les escaliers, quoi.
Interesting. Creep factor is elevated, that's for sure. There's more, though. Let's move up. Let's see what they got. Here we go.
Je vais aller voir ce qui se passe.
After hearing loud footsteps on the attic stairs, Goose DX opens the door to find nothing. He checks, but no one is in the house. When he climbs the stairs, he finds that the attic light is on, even though that he's certain that he turned all the lights off before bed. Goose DX has no idea what caused the loud footsteps on the stairs. So, if you speak a little French, you can check out the rest of the ghost hunting series over on the YouTube channel, Goose DX.
There you go. Hey, if you made it this far, thanks for joining me. Hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and next time you'll be right back at the beginning with me on the other one. Have a great day. Bye.